Hello, future residents of the United States. Today we are going to talk about costs associated with moving to the US. How much money should you bring? So if you don't know who I am, I work for an international teacher recruitment agency. And I know for my company specifically, I've helped so many people move to the US. We do a lot of training, especially about costs and what people can expect when they first come to the US. Some people take that seriously, others do not, and they don't come with nearly enough money and they don't do any research on their own. Maybe they don't even listen to what I say. So it's really important that you come with enough money. And I can't imagine what it would be like to have zero guidance, especially if you're not able to do research on your own. But if you're watching this video, you seem to be ahead of a lot of other people who want to come here, and you seem to be very smart. You have a head on your shoulders. You like to be prepared. I love that. And I love that for you because ultimately this will just help you, and this is a really good start. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's say you've made the decision, you're moving to the US, your bags are packed, your visa's ready to go, and you're really excited. I'm excited for you. Maybe you got a new job, something like that. It's a new chapter of your life, but you have to bring yourself down to reality and think about how much is this actually going to cost me and what do I need to do to prepare. So there are many costs that you're going to have to pay for when you first get here, but the first one, and this is the most obvious, is going to be rent. And maybe it's not even rent right away. Maybe you need to stay in a hotel or an Airbnb or a motel until you find something that you feel comfortable in. You want to get a little bit of the lay of the land, a feel for where you are. That's going to be an additional cost, right? But in general, let's say you already know where you want to move. Your rent, you're going to have to pay your first month's rent, of course, and then also a deposit. So typically a deposit is equal to 1 month's rent. So let's say your rent is $100. It will never really be that cheap. And if it is that cheap, something is really wrong. That is not normal. Rent will never be $100. We're just doing this to make the numbers easy. So you have a deposit of $100 that's equal to 1 month's rent. So that first month would be $200. Some places, because you don't have a credit score yet, if you don't know what credit is or a credit score, please watch my video on that, will charge you even another month for a deposit. So you could be paying up to 3 months rent that first month. So that's your 1 month rent payment, and then some places charge up to 2 months rent in deposit fees alone. So that's 3 times the amount of rent you're paying your first month there. Again, this is all going to depend on where you live and what you decide to do, but keep in mind these costs add up, and they can add up even more if you're staying in a hotel for a while. So another big expense for you is going to be setting up your utilities. Sometimes you set this up with the county or the city. Sometimes you do it with a private company. It all kind of just depends on where you live. So once again, if you don't have a credit score, you may be required to pay for a deposit. One area I work in, they charge people who don't have a social security number $400 as a deposit. And if you do have a social security number, you don't have to pay that. And then a $16 activation fee. So everybody I've ever worked with has not had a social security number before they come to the US. Well, most people, some have, but they lived there before. And getting a social security number can take some time. So you kind of have to pay for these things and they can add up. You're also gonna have to set up Wi-Fi, and that depends on how much the company charges. They might have a deposit, they might have an activation fee. So these are all costs that add up. So you also have to consider the fact that you're moving to an entirely different country. So you probably don't have furniture, pots, pans, groceries, spices, salt. You probably don't even have salt or sugar in your new place that you're staying. So all of these things you're gonna have to buy. Another thing is you're probably not coming with a car. So you have to factor in the cost for transportation. Are you moving to a big city where you can walk places, or you have access to public transit, which would be a lot cheaper than if you're moving to a small city or a rural area where you have to rely on Uber or taxis, those costs can really add up. So you have to understand what these costs are before you move, so you can kind of have an estimate on how much money to bring and how much this will cost you. Another thing you need to keep in mind is, even though you may be moving to the US for a job, congratulations, you got a new job. It's not like you land and the second you land, you get a paycheck. No, you typically have to get a social security number. That can take sometimes even 6 to 8 weeks if something goes wrong. And then for me, I work with teachers, so then they have to get added to payroll, and then they won't get paid until the next pay cycle. So some people, when they first arrive, of course they get paid retroactively, but they're going 2-3 months without pay. So you need to make sure you have enough to support yourself without pay for, I would say, 3 months. Do not, under any circumstances, start begging people, telling them, oh, I don't have money, I don't have this, I'm starving. Don't do that. It is seen so low. You know, just come with the money. Don't try to be cheap. Don't think, oh, I can get away with it. I had a friend that did it. No, no, no. And, you know, the first few months are going to be tough. They are. But do not start begging your colleagues, people you go to church with, random people you meet. Don't do it. It's really just looked down upon, and you need to just adequately prepare yourself before you come. And last but not least, you need to bring some extra money for miscellaneous things. You might have underestimated how much something costs. You might need to buy something extra that you never thought you would need, but now all of a sudden you really need it. So whatever number that you think you need, times that by 3. And this brings me to the golden question: how much money should I bring? So if you are one of my teachers, I could give you a really good estimate at knowing where you're going. But you, my dear YouTube watcher, I have no idea. That is the answer. You need to do your own research and figure out what the cost of living is where you're going. And that's how you can make an estimate. And again, whatever number you come up with, multiply it by 3. That's what you really need to come with. For example, you're gonna need so much more money if you are moving to New York City compared to a small town in Virginia. All right. So it really is your job to do research and figure out how much the cost of living is where you are moving. Look at rental prices, utilities, transportation, how much are groceries, all sorts of things like that before you come here so that you can adequately prepare. A lot of people do not do this research, but again, I know that you are not like that. You are more prepared. And by watching this video, you definitely have a great place to start. So I really hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, subscribe, like, and give me some feedback. If you want, send me a comment. I will respond to you. And I'll see you next time.